Hello everyone and welcome back to Meeple Leaf Reviews. I'm Jeffrey.
And I'm Jacob.
And today we're doing a review of a beast of a game.
Yup.
Pretty big name, Scythe.
Yeah, huge.
Got it a week ago. We played it for the first time and we've played it 5 times since.
Yeah, we've each played all of the factions,
yeah.
So we know what all the starting kind of factions do and how they feel.
Yeah, I have not played all of the industry boards,
yeah,
but I at least have played all the factions.
Right, so we know all of the basic abilities anyways, and then it's just how those industry boards affect.
Right, and we've played 3 2-player games, a 3-player game, and 1 4-player game.
Yeah.
So that's where we're coming from, our experience with the game so far, so keep that in mind for our review. If you're looking for a commentary on what is like 5-player, we haven't done that.
Yeah. But I feel like it would be quite similar to the 4-player game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the player counts do change the gameplay a little bit, but you're always within striking distance no matter where you are on the board. You're always going for similar things.
Yeah.
In a 2-player game, there can be no interaction whatsoever. We did have one game where there was no attacking.
Right.
And then once you get up into a 4-player game, then there's a little more interaction, but still there wasn't even that much fighting then.
No, I think your fighting is a conscious choice you have to make in this game. And if nobody decides to make that choice, then it's just not going to happen.
Right.
So let's dive right into the first part, art and components for this game. So I have the collector's edition.
Right.
Of the game, not a retail or the basic. I have the collector's edition. So what do you think of the art and components for the collector's edition?
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the metal coins, all the different denominations. It feels great. You got the player boards with all those little punch-out holes where everything fits in nicely.
That's so good.
So good. The art on the cards, on the boards, everything beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, the tokens as well.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the metal tokens, like that represent ore.
Metal. Yeah.
They're so hefty. Like they
got some weight to them. Yeah, those components are really good. The grain, or whatever, food.
Yeah.
The metal, the wood, it's all like these big chunky bits.
Yeah,
that are really nice.
And the board, so I have the bigger hex extension.
Right.
That makes the board.
Was that only in the deluxe or?
I think it was an add-on that you could get, but I think it is in only the collector's straight out. Don't quote me on that though.
So it increases the board size, so it takes up more room, but the hexes are just a little bit bigger, so you can fit everything on there.
Yeah, we played with the big board the whole time.
Yeah.
Every time I play this in the future, I will always play with the big board.
Right.
I wouldn't even think of playing with the smaller one. I just like it just being all expansive. Yeah.
So if you only had a really small table, you just wouldn't play the game.
Yeah.
Good to know.
No, I'd lay it out on the floor and get everyone to sit down.
Okay.
So that's art and components. I mean, art and components, 10 out of 10 for me. Like, so good.
Yeah, well, okay. So there were the little plastic clips for your board extension that hold, because the large size board comes in 2 pieces. You have these little clips that clip it together so it doesn't slide around.
You broke it immediately.
Snapped immediately. Trying to fit it on there, it just went and broke in half.
I don't know if that was a user error.
No, it was not a user error. It did not fit on there. The other guy on the other side of the table was trying to fit it on, and he couldn't even get it on.
Right. But we've been missing the clips, but I don't think
it's not essential. No, you don't need it at all. But
no. Yeah. But yeah, I really like the art style as well. Like the components are awesome, but the art, like, so good.
Yeah, I originally was feeling like it wouldn't fit. You would have this kind of sci-fi mech futuristic, and then this era of people, riding horses and, shooing the chickens across the street. And you're just like, these two things don't go together.
But the art makes it go together.
But it felt like it fit in the artwork for some reason. Just like the style of the mechs, they look old, they look rusted, they look like they're from a period piece kind of thing, and yeah, it just worked.
Yeah. So then going on into the theme where you're trying to move in on this factory that was producing all these mechs,
right?
And you want to get control of that power for yourself. And you're also expanding your empire. You're controlling different regions, using workers to produce different goods and moving around. And yeah, you have like all this kind of like farming stuff, but you also have this mechanized stuff. And like you said, it doesn't really go hand in hand, but that artwork, like it looks like somebody drew a painting of something that actually happened. Like
exactly.
Like
yeah.
it looks like that did occur, like in the game.
Right.
So the art definitely pulls that theme through. And I definitely feel in the game that I am building up something. I'm starting on one corner. I can just control a couple hexes. By the end of the game, sometimes your empire is really weirdly laid out. You control like hexes just randomly all over the place.
Sure.
But yeah, I think the theme comes through.
Yeah, I would say the theme flows through the game, just with the artwork, with everything that's kind of happening. You're building up this civilization. It feels like you're doing that. You're kind of racing to the center of the board to get that central factory, because it's going to give you more abilities, more powerful actions that you can take. So it does feel like the theme flows.
Yeah. So then going on to the rules and teaching for the game.
Yeah.
I've taught the game a couple times now, and I feel like it was pretty easy to teach people on how to pick it up, because your actions are on your board and they're the same for everybody. They might be in a slightly different order, but they're exactly the same for everybody. It's really easy to just walk them through. Okay, this action does this. The iconography makes sense. Everything is just okay. You do this. Red is you pay. Green is you get, and then you just go through all of them. And you explain a couple extra rules here and there, and you're off to the races.
I could see teaching a large group taking a little bit of extra time, because you almost need to walk each player through their tableau one at a time, because of the fact that their bottom or top is going to be different in a different orientation than other players. You can't be like, okay, let's all look at the first one and go through this. No, it doesn't work. You have to go, okay, for you, this is what this does. For you, this is what this does.
Right.
And work through in a different order.
I think you could make that easier is, okay, everyone, you have the same 4 actions on the top. They're going to be in a different order. Look at the one that has the 2 people moving.
Right.
This is the move action. And then you say, okay, everyone look at the one that has this like little power type symbol.
Right.
This is what this does. So I think it's because there's always reminders on the board of what you're doing. I think teaching is easier than if you just had to remember everything without any kind of reminders.
Sure.
But there is some little rules that like your character that you actually have can't move workers around. There was a couple rules that you were unclear on.
There was one that when you have a combat, you're just sending the enemy units back to their camp, and they can just come out on the next turn immediately.
Right.
I thought that if I went into battle and I destroyed someone's mech, they would have to actually take that mech building action again to rebuild it. They would still have all the abilities from their mech slots that they had unlocked already, but they would still have to pay resources to rebuild that. So I was like, oh, I was going to slow this guy down, move in, take out all this stuff, and then his next turn he was just like, oh, I move it out back onto the space where you are, and I take you out now.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay.
That sucked.
Yeah, it crippled me, that game.
The rule book I found was really well laid out. It made it easy to read. There are also some cool things in the rulebook. Number 1, they taught you how to pronounce the name of the game,
right?
Which is I think just hilarious. The other thing in the rulebook is kind of explaining what the name of the game means and how that actually fits in with the gameplay.
Okay.
Scythe being both a tool for harvesting, for farming, and a weapon of war, kind of melding those two things together where you are building up, but you also can attack. And that dual purpose of the Scythe, I thought that was really cool to include in the rulebook.
Okay.
So that was awesome.
Very cool.
So on to gameplay and mechanisms.
Okay.
the big part of this game.
Of it, yeah.
So, what did you think?
Well, there's definitely stuff that I love about it. So I love the asymmetrical factions with their faction powers. Yeah. They move in different ways. They have different special abilities. And then combined with a randomized industrial board, or what are they actually called?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so you have this bottom board, which is going to give you a unique set of abilities, or how you go through the game, how you produce and take all your actions. So the pairing between those two, you feel very different from everyone else.
Oh yeah, you feel completely different. Like your powers are vastly different. It's not just like, oh, you might get an extra coin here or an extra coin if you do this. It's like, no, your workers can cross rivers from the start of the game.
Right.
You can take the same action twice in a row, which nobody else can do. Right. They can't even get a card that allows them to do that.
Right.
So, yeah, the asymmetrical nature, I think, is awesome. And the random nature of your faction and your industry board.
Yeah.
Those combinations, there's 25 different pairings you can get. So, plus with an expansion coming with 2 more factions, there's going to be a lot of replayability. Yeah, it's crazy. And then that, for me, taking that initial setup and then trying to formulate a plan.
Sure.
Because different boards do different things better. Like some might be better at building mechs, some might be better at recruiting. So you want to play to your strengths and figure out how am I going to get to the point where I'm actually going to be able to play to the strengths of my combination here.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like that was probably the biggest thing. My biggest enjoyment factor in the game was just having these different unique abilities that separate me, and then going through and building.
Yeah,
I had fun building. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go this route this time, and I'm gonna get all these workers, and then they're just gonna produce all this great stuff for me. Or I'm gonna go this route and get these resources, which. And your starting area, you only have 3 different resources that are available to you, and that's different for each player. So that's going to have to tailor the order in which you do things. Right. So figuring out that puzzle.
Yeah, and figuring how am I going to get off of my starting land.
Yeah, because there's only 2 ways to get off.
Yeah, and depending on if you have the certain race ability, like the eagle people,
sure,
the falcon people or whatever, can go to other people's home bases.
Right.
So you're either going to build a mine to get out, or you're going to get a mech.
Yeah.
To get off your starting area. Now, you said something interesting about you enjoyed the building up aspect of the game. I don't think this is necessarily a Civ building game.
No, it's not.
It's not just about build and then at the end of the game, let's see who has the prettiest empire.
Right.
It's like an arms race.
Yeah.
You're trying to be the most popular, or have the most stars out, achievements, first, basically.
Exactly. That's it. That's all that matters.
Yeah. And you need to... So it's an engine-building game to get you to the end of the game in a better way than anyone else.
The most efficient way to get stars is what you're doing.
Yeah. So...
It doesn't really... that's all that matters, is how you build that engine to get there first.
Yeah. And there's a whole bunch of different ways to get stars. Like you can fight, and you can get up to 2 stars that way. You can recruit. You can make workers. You can get power, popularity. You can do all these different things, but you're only ever going to put out 6.
Right.
So you need to pick 6. There's no point to dabble here and there
in everything.
That's everything, because then you're just being less efficient.
Exactly.
In the game.
So you might be looking, and that's the big struggle in the game too, is that you're like, okay, I want to take this action, but if I do this over here first, then that makes this action better. But if I did this over here first, then that would make this better, which would make this better.
Yeah.
And if I did it in this order, and so that kind of makes you think that, okay, I'll dabble in this to make this good, but you don't really want to do that.
No, you need to find that balance of, I need to do so much to make it a better action or more efficient for me, but not so much that I'm hampering my ability to do it more.
Right.
And actually, that's something I find with a lot of Stonemaier games. The two that I played, Viticulture and Euphoria, and now this one, they give me the same feeling.
Okay.
I'm building an engine, but it's like I want to take this action. But like, oh wait, if I get this resources over here first, then that'll be even better. But because you have those top and bottom actions and you can do both, you're like, oh wait, before I do that, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to get this, and then I'll go do that, which will help this future action, and then I'll do that. But wait, and then you just keep, you definitely get.
There's always a but wait.
You get caught in this trap of always never doing what you intended to do, and you just end up doing all this other stuff first. So you need to say, okay, listen. just do the action. And I find that with Viticulture and Euphoria is the same thing. So sitting down at this game, if I didn't know it was a Stonemaier game, the feeling I get tells me that it's a Stonemaier game.
Sure.
Right.
That's funny.
What did you think about if there is any tension in the game? Did you feel any tension in this game?
No.
I'm completely different. I'm like towards the end of the game, my heart starts beating harder. Like even in the 2-player games, I'm just like, and I think there's 2 types of tension for me. There's military tension of, okay, he could do 2 attacks potentially and get 2 stars. Plus, if he combines that with his secret objective, you could get 3 stars in one go. So I'm always on the lookout for that. And then also, I just find the tension of, when is he going to end the game? I need 4 more turns and I can end the game. Is he going to be able to do that before me? So I'm always like, oh, I could go over here and do this, but then now it's going to be 5 turns before I can end the game. So the tension of, I need to get that game in, but I want to set myself up for the most victory points, and that toss out. Because the last game we played, I'm like, okay, I could move first, spread my workers out a little bit to gain more territories, which would give me more points. But I was like, you know what? That just gives him another turn to get more points. So I'm just going to end the game right now.
Yeah, I always go into it with, start of the game, you've already got your mission complete. I just assume that it's done.
Okay.
And you've already got that done. I look at your military power and I go, okay, he's already got his military victory as well. And his second military victory is done. So you start the game with 3 points already, and then you just need 3. That's how I assume.
Really?
So once you have 3 stars out on the board that aren't those 3, I just assume the game is about to end right now.
Well, I think that can add a lot of tension if that was the case. Like if you had 3 other stars out and you hadn't won a military victory or you got your secret objective,
right? Everyone
everyone else is looking at you like you can end the game potentially, especially if you have high power. So yeah, that I think would make tension of, well, I can't spend any more time dabbling in anything else. I need to do everything I can to try and get a few more points here and there.
Right.
So
yeah. I just didn't feel any tension in the game whatsoever. It's just like, I'm doing my thing, you're doing your thing.
Yeah. Do you think that's because, were you paying attention to what I was doing?
When I pay attention to what the other players are doing, I have a miserable time playing the game.
Really?
Yeah.
I
did that 2 games, and those were the worst 2 games that I played.
Right.
I was just like, I'm not having fun anymore. I have fun building. I don't have fun watching you do your thing and trying to compete.
Well, and I look over at the other players' boards, and I'm not looking necessarily at what they're doing, but like in detail. But I'll look over and, okay, he has 3 buildings, he has 3 upgrades left, he has 3 mechs unbuilt, he only has 1 star out, he's nowhere near to completing those. I have time, and that kind of just sets my timer. And I'm just looking, okay, this guy could in one move get 2 more stars. Okay, I need to pick up the pace.
Right.
So it's not so much what are you doing or where are you moving to. It's what's the likely timer for the end of the game.
So that's what I didn't like about the game, was the fact that if I look over and I see these other people and how far they're progressing in the game, I see that they're just speeding ahead of me, and it takes away my enjoyment of me building up my civilization.
Right.
So I wanted a civ game, and I got a racing game, and it's not what I expected.
Yeah. I think if you go into this game expecting I'm going to get to build up my empire in my own time, You're not going to get that out of this game.
Right.
This is who can build an empire who's efficient at 6 things, basically, and get that done the fastest.
Exactly.
Because even like in the game, that comes with this achievement sheet, and on the back side of that achievement sheet, there's some crazy stuff like win the game without building any mechs, or win the game without any recruits, and like they're hard. And one of the ones on there is win the game without having all 6 stars.
Right.
And I don't know.
And that's on there's an easy achievements and difficult achievements, and that's on the difficult achievements.
So I think it's going to be pretty rare when the person who ends the game isn't the person who wins the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think if you can especially time the game to end with your move action, because then you can just spread out and, maybe take over the factory and win a battle, because the factory's worth 3 hexes.
Yeah.
If you can end the game on a move, that's huge.
Yeah, because the points that you get in the game, you're getting the most points for the number of stars that you have. So whoever has more stars is generally going to get a lot more points there. Then it's the number of tiles that you control. So you want to spread out and cover more tiles. So that's what Jeff's talking about, where if you move and take up 3 additional tiles, that's generally, if you're in the top tier, that's 12 more points.
Yeah, that's pretty huge.
Which is like 1/10 of your best score. More than 1/10 of your best score. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. I think I completely lost my train of thought, but
well, I'll go with something else that you mentioned. So winning by battle. I don't think that combat is combat in this game. It doesn't feel like I'm fighting.
Right.
I'm just, here's a military card, here is some power on my power dial, and I send you home.
Yeah.
Or I send you to the closest lake.
That was awesome.
Or whatever. I'm basically pushing you out of that tile, but it doesn't hurt you in any way, other than I now control that tile, which is maybe worth 4 points.
Yeah, I think fighting for fighting's sake is not worth anything.
Yeah,
like it's the same thing like in real life. If you just go out to fight, you aren't going to get anywhere in life.
Yeah.
But it's the tactical combat and trying to set it up so that you come out on top to control a hex to get the star and then hopefully end the game.
Exactly.
If you just go around thinking, oh, I'm just going to be a combat-y person, you aren't likely going to do well in this game.
So that was like another tick towards it's a race. Yeah. It's not, if you're going in to build a civilization and, oh yeah, I'm going to have all these mechs and I'm going to go out and fight people and take them out and control their no, you're not.
No.
You're not going to do that at all.
No, and I feel the arms race, so there's a couple things that influence combat for me, is the power. Yeah. If someone's really low on power, they're an easy target.
Yeah.
You aren't likely going to get much resistance there. The combat cards, if they have no combat cards in their hand, they're again going to be very easy combat. So there was some games when I was afraid that you were going to attack me. You forced me to take actions to get my power up to at least match you,
right, and
then try and draw more combat cards.
Right.
So I wasn't doing it to try and attack you back, but just kind of, as long as I'm even keel with him, I'll hopefully deter him from attacking me. The other interesting thing with combat is the workers. You send workers back and then you lose popularity. And the fact that popularity determines how much you're going to score in each of the different areas, the higher popularity, the better. So the more you attack, if you attack people's workers, you're going to be going down. So you're going to be costing yourself points. So I find there's a lot of deterrence for attacking in the game. So when you do it, it needs to be to your benefit.
Exactly.
And you don't want to be attacking 6 times. Unless you're that one,
I don't think you can.
Unless you're that one race that can put as many stars on combat as you possibly can and just end the game as quick as you can.
Yeah, the one thing about the other thing about combat is that you're spending combat cards, but you're also you can spend power, which is this power meter. And if you get to the top of the power meter, you get a star.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be spending power too much, and you want to stay at a high enough level that you're going to deter people from attacking you.
Right, because if you go attack someone, spend all your power and your combat
now
cards,
you're sitting at nothing, and you're just a target.
Yeah.
So you're not going to go around attacking all the time. You can't. But the biggest thing was, I liked what you said in a previous conversation that we had, where you were like, building up your power, getting combat cards, it's about posturing.
Yeah.
It's about puffing up your chest and going, oh yeah, look at me. Come get me if you want.
Especially if you put workers in with your mechs as well. Because it's like, right, you can come at me. I have the power. I have the combat cards. And because of the distribution of the combat cards, there's more of the like 2s and less of the 5s. So the more I have, the more likely I have a higher combat card. So, and then you're going to attack me and lose popularity. So it's just, like, okay, I'm just standing here puffing out my chest and just don't come at me. Leave me alone. Right?
Right.
So, that's combat. I actually enjoy the combat because I don't really like combat in games. So it's more about just deterring the other person. Right. It's a similar feel for me from Through the Ages. Through the Ages is a lot of just, again, an arms race is... You gain 3 on the military, I'm going to gain 3 on the military. And just kind of keeping pace and keeping the other person from thinking you're too juicy of a target.
Right.
So that's for me. That's why I like this combat system, because it deters combat.
Right.
For me.
And it just made it feel not like a Civ game when I wanted a Civ game.
Right.
So that's why I didn't like the combat.
Right. The other thing that I really enjoyed for the game was the encounters.
Okay.
I liked how that, injected theme into the game. You have this picture. I also liked how they didn't put, and they mentioned this in the rulebook, they didn't put a title or any captioning on there. Is there's a picture and it gives you 3 options of doing something. So you can like help a lady pick fruit. Mm-hmm. You could buy some fruit from her, or you could just like enslave her.
Yeah. Exactly. So you have the good, the neutral, and the bad.
Yeah. And you get different benefits.
Different benefits based on what you do. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. Yeah. One of the highlights is when you get one of those encounters, you're like, oh, what do I get to do this time? And they can really kind of help you out with what you're trying to do as well. Maybe there's a resource that you have trouble getting, but you go to one of these encounters and then boom, it's right there on the card. You can get, 3 of it by... kicking this guy off his land and just taking all his oil that he has or whatnot. So it's...
And I find that is yet another mechanic in the game that tries to sidetrack you.
Yeah.
If you just, all these encounters are really cool, and you just go around picking up encounters, well, if someone else is spending that time building up their engine and you're just running around, that could not be the best option.
Exactly. I agree.
So it's just something else to kind of... pull you off track in the game.
Yeah.
My least favorite part of the game is the factory cards.
Okay, yeah.
I think they're okay.
It's interesting.
In the 5 games that I've gotten a couple of factory cards, but I've only ever used one factory card once.
Okay.
I think to properly use them, you need to try and get to the factory as early as possible.
Yes, I agree.
Because if you have close to the end of the game, then you get to the factory. It does give you 2 options to move, so you can jump and move twice.
And movement's really hard to do because you only have 1 action space that allows you to move.
Yeah.
And you can only move 2 units, 1 space each, until you get a mech, which allows you to move each mech 2 spaces, which can then take workers and drop them off along the way. So moving is difficult in the game.
And so that's good for those factory cards, but the top action to get the most benefit out of it, and to kind of again give you a little bit more information about how is my race or my faction, my industry, and my factory benefit, how am I going to use that to build an engine? Because if you've already got your engine built and then you get a factory card, then it's like, okay, well, I don't need this anymore.
Exactly. The last game we played, I went in and I had already done everything that I wanted from the 3 factory cards that were available to me. They were all useless. So I took the time to go all the way over there and I got, I wouldn't say nothing because I controlled that at the end of the game, which gave me 3 tiles. Yeah. Which is a lot of points, so that's decent. But the card was useless to me because of how late I arrived there.
Right. So is there anything else that you wanted to bring up for the game?
Well, since that was your least favorite, my least favorite thing was actually the fact that there is a variable end to the game.
Right. My wife also doesn't like games that have a variable end where... literally you could not see it coming. Right. Like there was one game I had 1 star out, and then in 2 turns I got 5 stars out and just ended the game.
Exactly. And it's it's brutal. Like, it's almost like having sex. And
this is PG.
You're going along, you're playing, you're having fun, and then the one person finishes and they're just like, okay, let's pack it up. We're all done here. And you're like, wait, no, I'm still trying to
building up my empire.
Build up my empire. And that's how I feel every time I play the game.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm having fun playing the game, and then you're just like, okay, we're done, pack it up. And it's like, and I'm just left with this
incomplete feeling.
Yeah, I feel like in these 5 games that we've played, I haven't finished a game of Scythe yet.
Right.
I've played 5 half games of Scythe.
Because I've finished and won all 5 games.
Right.
So
it's a race for you. For me, it's a civ builder.
Right.
And it's not a civ builder. It's a race.
Yeah.
So everything that I want the game to be, it's not.
Right. So you should just play the game with no stars whatsoever, and just
basically
build it up.
Basically, yeah. That's exactly it.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, because for me, because I've won and I've ended the game on my terms all the time, I'm like, okay, I finished the game.
Exactly.
And it feels really good to end the game on someone else before they want it. Like, that feeling is so good.
Right.
When you're just like, they don't see this coming and they have a whole bunch planned and I'm just going to cut it off and the game's over.
Basically, you're just saying you're selfish.
Yeah.
It's all about me.
That's what this game brings out in me.
So, yeah. That's my least favorite thing about the game.
So, final
ratings?
Final ratings.
All right.
So, for me, this game just clicked.
Right.
Everything clicked into place for me. I knew from the first game what it would take to do well, and I got like 96 points in the first game. I've got 99 twice since then.
Yeah.
I haven't quite broke 100, but it just clicks. I see what's going on, and I find it really enjoyable. And because I've won so much, if I did lose one game where I didn't get to end the game on my terms, I think that would be okay. But I think if I constantly was being beaten at this game, I wouldn't enjoy it as much.
Right.
But yeah, for me, this is a 9. 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I can see that.
For me, it's good. I like almost everything about the game. Again, the factory cards are the least favorite, but I don't think I'm playing to those.
Sure.
And I like the puzzle nature that it gives me.
Yeah.
It gives me two things that kind of got it locked together, and how am I going to lock it together and make it work?
Right.
And that puzzle is going to be different at least 25 different times.
Yeah.
And then
it's perfecting that on top of that.
Yeah.
So even if you get the same one twice, it's like, how can I do this better?
Right. So I think there's a lot of replayability there for me. I really like what it makes my brain have to do and the decisions I have to make.
Right.
So that's me.
Cool.
But I will say, like Jake said, if you're going into this thinking it's a civ building game, this isn't going to be the game for you.
No.
This is a one-upping each other and trying to, because especially if you can make them think you're not close to ending the game,
sure,
that's the good tactic. Yeah. If they're like, oh, I got tons of time, I can dabble here and there, and you're just like, boom, 3 stars, game over.
Yeah, exactly. So I also love the puzzle. I love the building of my empire, and I'm just having a blast doing it. And then before I get anywhere, the game's over, and it's time to pack it up. And I just have this sour taste in my mouth. I'm just like, this, I don't like it. So I do not enjoy this game because it's not what I want it to be. And I want it to be a civ builder, but it's a race.
Yeah.
And I don't want to play a race when I'm playing this game.
Right.
So for me, it's a 6 out of 10. I just wish that it wasn't a race. If it wasn't a race, I think I would probably also give it a 9.
Right.
But just the fact that it's a racing game to end the game just on a whim, and you don't see it coming, I just always leaves me with a sour taste, and I'm just like, this is not fun.
So
I have not enjoyed the game in 5 plays.
You enjoy the playing of the game, the mechanics and what it does. It's just the end game trigger.
It's like playing a video game. Right? You're playing, and then the power goes out, and you lose all your progress, and you have to start from scratch. And so you load up the game and you're going along, I'm making it, and then power goes out and you lose all your progress. That's the feeling that I'm getting. I'm just playing the same thing over and over, never finishing a game, and that's not fun.
Right.
So
it's the end game trigger.
So I can see the enjoyment, and I really wanted to love this game. And I could see how you're giving it a 9. I want to give it a 9 too, but I just never have fun playing the game. I don't know how many more times I'm going to want to play the game.
Right. And it's interesting because Naomi loved, like, when we taught her the game before she'd even played it, she was like, I love this game already.
Exactly. and she loves Civ builders, so I'm interested to see after more plays, because she's only played it once, if she's also going to dislike it because it's a race. Right. I'm interested to see what happens there.
All right, well, that's our review of Scythe.
Yeah.
I think we went pretty in-depth there.
Yeah, and I think if you're going in looking for a Civ builder, take wary to what it is. It's a race. If you go in knowing that this is a race / kind of Civ builder thing,
it's an engine
building race. Yeah. If you go in with that, I think it's an awesome game.
And if you find yourself
what I want it to be.
If you find yourself getting distracted by every shiny bauble along the way, you need to be focused.
Yeah, I agree.
It's going to reward the people who can be focused. I have this plan, even though it would be great to do this action over here. It's not part of my plan.
Exactly.
I got to stick to my plan.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's Scythe. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to go down to the description below, hit our board game links, and give us some hearts, and follow us on Twitter @Meepleaf.
You can give us some thumbs up so other people find this video, and make sure you subscribe so you can get all the goodies from us.
All right. See you guys next time.
We'll catch you next time.